Inside one of the demonstrations that have filled Cairo's streets since the revolution 2 years ago, scores of men are ripping off the clothes of a solitary woman and sexually assaulting her. This attack on a foreign woman was caught on camera. But we've discovered that every Egyptian woman is at risk. Women were at the forefront of the revolution that brought democracy. I wanted to know why women are being treated like this now. I went to meet a woman who had survived such an attack. Nihal Zaghloul told me she'd been at a protest in Tahrir Square with a friend.
I started out with a circle around us of 5, and then it just increased of pushing, and then suddenly someone grabbed me.
Grabbed you where?
My butt, basically.
What, there's a crowd of men and they're all trying to grab at you?
Yeah, and pulling my veil and pulling my
They're trying to strip your clothes off?
Yeah.
Nihal escaped, but her friend did not.
Her clothes were completely torn and she was on the floor crying.
How many men?
She said that there were about 50, all ages. She said that they stripped her clothes naked. They had fingers everywhere. They pulled her from the hair. They pinned her down on the floor. And they finger raped her, basically.
Nihal's friend sustained internal injuries and couldn't walk for a week. She's since fled Egypt. Nihal too was severely traumatized.
For the first week I was crying myself to sleep every night. But seriously, I can never forget her face. I can never forget how she looked like. 'Cause that's like an image that those men have created for me, and I'm always gonna be remembering it.
The attack changed Nihal's life. She now dedicates as much time as she can to stopping this happening to other women. We're meeting Nihal in the offices of Harassment. It's an anti-sexual harassment movement that started to collect reports of sexual assaults and harassment. Now, we're coming here in the evening because nearly all their volunteers are unpaid and they've got day jobs.
Kind of scattered around situation that was...
Harassmap allows women to log all forms of sexual harassment, and that included the experiences of many in the room. Do you find that most of the people that come to join this movement have been so sexually harassed?
Most people in Egypt have been sexually harassed. Yeah.
So was that the motivating factor for you?
Yes and no. Like it started as yes, because on that day that I was harassed, I couldn't punish whoever did this to me, and also because I have sisters and I have a mother and I have friends, female friends. Why do they have to go through the same shit basically that I'm going through?
In the last 2 years, the team has received over 900 reports from women across the country. Layla El Rafai is collating the statistics.
So that's the map of Egypt.
Right.
Right. That big dot right here is Cairo, Greater Cairo. Okay. And then you see we have reports from all over Egypt. Women are reporting groping. Somebody reported rape.
Now, what's the most interesting thing that this data is telling you?
This data tells us that it's everywhere. And it does exist. And you can't run from it.
The women believe only a fraction of cases are reported.
A lot of people are afraid to tell their parents. A lot of people would be shy to tell their father.
Yeah.
You know,
So it's almost like a taboo subject, even though it's happening to everybody.
yeah, they might get in trouble depending on the family, like the guy's mentality, the father's mentality. It's upsetting.
But Harassment is making it much better.
Harassmap is a vital source of information on attacks because few women go to the authorities. met with a 21-year-old student, Dina Rashed, who's been the victim of several assaults.
I was taking the subway to downtown. I found someone tells me, "You're a whore," and then he touched me.
He touched your body, touched your breast?
Touched my whole body, the whole body.
Dina managed to alert a nearby police officer, but he refused to help.
He said to me, "It's not his fault, it's your fault, because you are dressing like that. You're dressing too tight. You're wearing makeup and you don't have the right to do that. Your hair is not covered." So he put all the blame on me.
If you were attacked again, would you go to the police?
No, because just like I said, I lost all hope about the policeman and the state of law.
Only 2 men have ever been prosecuted under sexual harassment laws. As we drank our tea, I realised a woman was being assaulted by a group of teenagers.
Just like you saw now, this is the kind of...
What are they saying? Well, they're catcalling. I was beginning to look at Cairo's streets with new eyes. Minutes later, while we were still sitting at the cafe, I saw 2 frightened girls being chased by another group of teenage boys. Follow them quick, it's a pack of guys.
I think it's harassment.
It's harassment.
Yeah. Boys ran away after her.
They're running after her. How many groups of boys have we seen? We've seen
3.
3 big groups of boys, and you can see nobody even has batted an eyelid. Nobody's done anything. As Dina and I walked to the metro, she told me what men were saying to us.
He's looking at you with a falsy look.
Disgusting.
Yes,
disgusting.
Disgusting. Someone said to me, blonde hair. In our country, colored hair, she's a prostitute.
Right, okay. In the space of a few hundred yards, we were called whores over a dozen times. I feel exhausted.
Oh, me too.
Really, I haven't experienced anything quite like this, where it's nearly every single man we walked past just looked at us in a really intimidating, sexually aggressive way, and it's really dehumanizing. I feel filled with rage at the moment, and it's one of the few times, I think it's the only time in my life where I've been really happy not to understand the local language. We met up with Nihal again at a demonstration against sexual harassment outside the presidential palace. I reckon there must be at least a couple of hundred people here now. You can also see there are loads of cameras, lots of the media, the press is here, because sexual harassment has become such a hot topic in Egypt at the moment. The revolution has allowed the Egyptian media to raise the issue of sexual harassment, which was rarely mentioned in public before. The recently elected Muslim Brotherhood have said they'll investigate the problem. They also have their own clear line on the subject. They emphasise a woman's place is at home, not on the streets. They encourage women to cover up as much as possible. I was learning that many men blame women for being harassed. We're overhearing a conversation at the moment. It's a guy who's come to say that women should watch what they wear, and it's the fault of women that they're being sexually harassed.
ضد ان الواحده تقول ما تتحرش بيا وتلبس لبس اصلا يصير غريزه الشاب. ده الراجل الكبير اللي عنده 60 سنه بيصير على الغريزه اللي عنده 60 سنه اللي بيصير على الواحده اللي تبقى لابسه لبس مش محترم. ازاي هي تيجي تقف واقفه تقول ان التحرش وهي اصلا لابسه لبس الواحد يصير شهوه البني ادم.
انا دلوقتي وانا واقفه معاك بكلمك لابسه بنطلون زيك ماشي، انا اثير شهوتك وانا بكلمك وبناقشك.
حضرتك ست كبيره، مع احترامي ليكي طبعا، ست كبيره في السن، تمام؟
Yet the more women I talked to, the more they told me that dress has little to do with being a target.
برضه بيضايقوني يعني هم اتكلموا عن اللبس وكده. طب والمنتقبه برضه لبس وكده مش في مخ مش كويسين ودماغهم مش لذيذه مش باللبس لا والله. انا بقول لك منتقبه وكان اسدال وشدني من اسدال وكده.
The group that had organised the protest took me to a meeting they were holding in Stabalanta, one of the poorest neighbourhoods in Cairo. No men were allowed in the room, as women from two very different worlds shared very similar stories.
في أي حد عنده تعرض لموقف ومش ناسيه لحد دلوقتي ممكن يحصله من صغره ومش ناسيه لحد دلوقتي. علي صوتك كمان أكتر.
لسه مكتوبة وحاطيني في الأتوبيس كان كاتب عليا.
تمام.
وكنا في الأتوبيس ولقيتها مش جنبي بس موقف يعني لا يحسن خالص.
تمام.
لقيت حاجة غريبة شدت جنب مني. كنت متجوزة بقى خلاص.
تمام.
لقيت حاجة جنب مني زي الخازوق كده.
تمام.
أنا زغلت خدت يعني ضربة جنب مني.
تمام.
الحاجة دي في جسمي من هنا.
One woman passed on a good trick to fend off harassers.
اختي الكبيره ادتني دبوس ابره اللي هو الكبير ده قالت لي حد يقرب جنبك بالدبوس ودي. اقسم بالله ان انا والله العظيم بقوا ماشيين الشاب يصوت ورايا من الدبوس مسكت وقلعت الشبشب ونزلت عليه. ما لمسنيش ما لمسنيش.
Since we've got here, I really wanted to talk to men who harass women. Unsurprisingly, no one so far has been willing to admit this on camera, but we've met a group of friends who said they will be filmed and they've agreed to talk about it. A local journalist had put me in touch with 3 men from his conservative neighbourhood on the outskirts of Cairo. Mahmoud, Mohammed and Khaled are in their early 20s. They're unmarried, have steady jobs and work in the evenings as DJs for weddings. How far does it go?
لأن احنا كمصريين برضو يعني بنعمل الغلط بس جوانا برضو حتة ان احنا برضو يعني هو ممكن يلمس جزء من جسمها فما بتوصلش لدرجة ان انا يعني اشد هدومها او اقلع هدومها. الكلام مش بيوصل عندنا لكده يعني.
هو لمس بس
ممكن لمس بس.
هو مجرد ما يلمسها لا هو مجرد ما يلمسها مش هتكون متعة يعني. انا لمست واحدة ما كتعتش يعني ولا عملت حاجة بس برضو هو عقاب ليها اكبر.
شاب هي اللي بتجذبه ليها برضو يعني نظرات البنت ليها وكده هي اللي بتجذب الشاب ان هو يبص لها وان هو يتعامل معاها بطريقة أخرى يعني.
Girls with hijabs are also being assaulted. Why do you think that is?
شرط اللي لابسة الحجاب تكون مقتنعة بيه. مش شرط التانية لابسة الحجاب غصب عنها. أنا باخد طبع يعني إحنا وصلنا لدرجة إن إحنا ما بقيناش نحدد مين البنت اللي نعكسها ومين البنت اللي ما نعكسهاش.
I want you to be honest with me. So, what about the way I'm dressed? I'm going to stand up so you can see. Would I be to blame if I got groped or assaulted by a big mob like this?
ان حضرتك اموره لكن على طريق اللبس يعني انا ممكن ابص لحضرتك عشان حضرتك من غير الحجاب. يعني احنا دلوقتي في منطقه راقيه فعادي ان انا اشوف بنت لابسه كده ممكن عادي. لكن اللي هي تبقى لابسه عندنا مثلا في منطقه مش راقيه او كده تبقى لابسه كده فاكيد انت لابسه كده ليه وازاي نزلت كده.
Even though the 3 friends have jobs, like most young men in their neighbourhood, they can't afford to get married.
الشاب مش شغال وعارف ان طبعا ان هو عمره ما هيتجوز ولسه قدامه فتره كبيره قوي اللي هو يتجوز فاكيد يعني اللي هو مثلا ممكن يتحرش ببنت او كده فبيقول يجيبها بالغصب احسن ما هو كده مش هيعمل حاجه.
The shocking thing about that conversation is that they're all really polite and educated young men. They have absolutely no sense of responsibility. As far as they're concerned, these women are to blame entirely for their behaviour. Yet I couldn't understand how these views, as unpleasant as I found them, could escalate into mob attacks. Wael Abbas is a leading journalist. He's regularly sent mobile phone footage of attacks.
Oh my goodness, they've ripped off her clothes. So upsetting. Wow. I mean, it's like a pack of wild dogs.
Yeah.
Ripping apart a piece of meat. I mean, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a jungle with no presence of law or justice or police or any regulations. It's like that.
According to Wael, mob attacks can be traced back to 2005, in the time of the old Mubarak regime. He said while male protesters were beaten up, female dissidents got a different treatment.
And what Mubarak did was not use security, but he used criminals. He used thugs that targeted women and assaulted them sexually. Back then,
you witnessed this?
I was witness. I've seen it. Sexual harassment was used as a weapon, as a tool against these women protesters.
Do you think that this has had an influence over what's happening now?
Maybe. It was a start, and I think it encourages people to do similar stuff, because it's very common that when people get away with their crimes, others will pursue the same approach.
Even though Mubarak's regime is gone, the sex mob attacks around Tahrir Square on female protesters seem to be increasing. I wanted to speak to men who had taken part in such attacks.
I think I finally got a lead. One of our contacts says he knows men in his neighborhood who he says are involved.
Many poor parts of Cairo are controlled by gangs, and it's here where men are recruited for mobs. We met a gangster who allowed us into his area to meet some of them.
We're in the old city. It's in the south of Cairo, and it's a religious, traditional area. Now, we've been told we've got very limited time here because the locals are very suspicious of foreigners. We're going to stop filming in a minute. We're going to be taken somewhere secluded to meet a man that our contact says has been paid to sexually assault women.
يعني أيام الثوره كنا بننزل، كنا مطلوب مننا حاجات يعني كده.
And what are you told to do exactly?
انزل تحرش بالبنات، انزل ضايقهم، وحاول ان انت تمد ايدك عليهم بتاع ان هم يسيبوا المظاهره ويمشوا. كنا بناخد فلوس عشان نعمل الحاجات دي.
Are you still being paid to sexually harass women?
يعني في الايام اللي فاتت دي بتاعت يوم الجمعه اللي فاتت، حاولوا ان هم برضو يغرونا برضو بالفلوس وبتاع. فيعني الصراحه يعني من قله المعيشه وبتاع، فكنا بنرضى ان احنا نعمل كده اصلا.
Who's paying you to sexually assault women?
هكذب عليك لو اقول لك ان انا اعرف حد.
Another man explained he was often hired to attack women as part of a gang of 65. He got paid between 10 and 20 pounds a time.
Who's paying you?
لا ما نعرفش مين، هو واحد بيدينا فلوس ويقول لك يلا. احنا شغالين من ايام مبارك مثلا في الموضوع ده، لما بتحصل انتخابات والحريم بتتكلم بيحصل، ولحد دلوقتي برضه شغالين في الانتخابات.
Who do you think is paying you now?
ناس من الكبار، ما مش عاوز الثوره تنجح، عايزين قلق في الثوره.
The people in the area were scared of these men, and I was glad to leave. They wouldn't reveal their new paymasters. Some victims are sure Islamists are now behind the attacks. That Friday, veteran activist Afaf El Sayed was assaulted in Tahrir Square. Her arm was still in a sling.
واحد اداني كده ضربني هنا، التاني اللي هو يعني هو حاول يتحرش بيا، بيمسكني من صدري للي شد، ورحت اديت له كده بايدي.
Afaf, who are these thugs? Who are these men who are carrying out these sexual assaults?
كان مجموعة من 6 من الإخوان المسلمين. العقاب اللي بيحاولوا يعملوه هو التحرش الجنسي بالستات وخاصة الناشطات علشان يبعدوا عن الميدان أو يخافوا من الميدان، فبالتالي في تحرش موجه سواء من القوى الدينية علشان يرهبونا فنرجع البيت، سواء من الفلول كمان عشان يرهبونا علشان نسكت وما نتكلمش.
Afaf is not alone in accusing the Muslim Brotherhood of orchestrated attacks on women that day. The Muslim Brotherhood made an official statement. It accepted that thugs did attack protesters, but said they were imposters wearing their party T-shirts, and that genuine Muslim Brotherhood activists were also targeted. It seems to me that the revolution gave so many women here a voice, but with these freedoms have come threats. It takes huge courage for women to continue to protest when there's such a high risk of falling victim to sexual violence.
The reasons behind sexual harassment and assault in Egypt are complex, but what's clear is society's attitude to women is at the heart of it, and this has allowed political groups to use it as a tool of intimidation.
Hello!
How are you?
Fine, how are you? Nihal fears the threats to women are having the intended effect.
So women are now scared of going to Tahrir Square?
What happened to me on Tahrir, me and my friends, they completely destroyed this symbol for me. Like, for me to go there always brings out these memories, and I hate to go there.
Do you think that makes a difference to the movement?
Of course it does.
How?
Because they're starting to segregate women from protests. They're starting to segregate women from the revolution.
And how does it make you feel to think that all the men that did this to you are still out there?
That's the reason I'm fighting, because they're still out there. And I don't know if they're doing it to somebody else that I don't know about. So the fact that they're out there motivates me that, you know what, someday I'll get you for what you did to us.
Women like Nihal will resist any attempt to silence them. But as more women are scared away from protests, they may be harder to hear.